I think it makes sense to think about Buddhism and Hinduism as contextually similar, right? They're coming out of the same atmosphere, they're coming out of the same context, and in fact, they come out of the same ideas about time in India in ancient times. That being said, it makes sense also to look at Buddhism and Hinduism separately because Buddhism introduces some new ideas for us about time that are different and in some ways almost opposite Hinduism. So there's this great situation where some things are very similar. Some words are used the same way. Other words might be used but have different meanings when it comes to the context of time. So think about the three big words that I mentioned earlier about Hinduism: samsara, dharma, and karma. Those terms used in Hinduism are also used in Buddhism, but in some ways they have either slightly or strongly different meanings. Let me give you some examples here. The Buddha himself, as a man, was a Hindu, and he was a man who was constantly searching for truth, constantly searching for what the meaning of life might give him. And the story goes that he was meditating. He had let himself fall into a very deep meditation, and he came to complete enlightenment in one night. So instead of going through hundreds of years or thousands of years of changes and moving slowly up from one social section to another, one social level to another, rather, the Buddha sat down and said, I am not going to get up until I'm enlightened. And in fact, that's exactly what happened in the Buddhist tradition. And when he woke up, he had new definitions for some of the words that we've already learned. So, for example, he had samsara. Samsara means about the same thing in Buddhism as it does in Hinduism, but perhaps it's even more important. So samsara, again, is this cycle or wheel of time. But in Buddhism, it also is a cycle or wheel of suffering, that it's not just time, it's suffering, and that suffering comes from not wanting things to be impermanent, for desiring permanence, for desiring things that you might not be able to have. When the Buddha woke up, and in fact he called himself the awakened one, he said that he realized four very important things that in many ways relate to time. First, he said, all life is suffering. All life is suffering. Two, all suffering comes from craving. Sometimes when you're reading about Buddhism, you'll hear the idea of desire, but it's bigger than desire, deeper than desire. It's something that you must have. It's something that you want so badly that you'll do it until you get sick, right? Like me with Nutella. That all life is suffering. Suffering comes from craving. But the third step is that there is a path away from suffering. And the fourth step, or the fourth noble truth of Buddhism, is that the Buddha, the awakened one, the enlightened one, offers a path from craving and suffering to enlightenment or nirvana.